Targum Pseudo-Jonathan, Genesis 1:9, the second part. This video is going to talk about this word that has the kaf, nun, shin verbal root. We already know from our study of Hebrew and Aramaic that there's some regular consonant differences in that from Proto-Semitic to these languages, there's been a transmission of consonants that's resulted differently in Hebrew and Aramaic. So similarly, in late Jewish literary Aramaic, there's some consonant shifts going on, and I just want to explore that a little bit in this video. Edward Cook helps us on this matter in his dissertation, Rewriting the Bible, pages 121 to 126. But actually, the consonant difference that I'm going to talk about in this video is not one of these regular shifts. So let's go to Hebrew Manuscript 17 in the National Library of France, which contains the Hebrew text of the Torah, prophets, and writings, and then the associated Targums. Onkelos and Jonathan, as we know, are Jewish literary Aramaic, and then most of the Targums to the writings are late Jewish literary Aramaic, which is the literary dialect we have in Pseudo-Jonathan. Inside this beautiful volume, you can see this as page 1. There's Bereshit, so this is the beginning of Genesis. You can see the ornamental writing there of the first word. So likewise, we go to Psalms, and interestingly, this is not Tehillim, like we might expect from our Hebrew Bibles, but Ashrei, which is the first word of Psalm 1:1. And we go to the folio that has Psalm 33:7, and we zoom in a little bit. You see the 3 columns. There's alternating Hebrew and then the Targum. So let's go over to verse 7. This in yellow is the Hebrew. This in blue is then the Targum that follows the Hebrew of Psalm 33:7. The first word here is the collective participle masculine singular of kaf, nun, samek, which is the Hebrew for gather. Now look at this. In the Targum, we have the pa'el participle masculine singular of kaf, nun, samek, and the alternation of stem is not so significant because the pa'el is the only stem that this root appears in the Targum. Now, that having been said, Targum Kohelet or Targum Ecclesiastes uses kaf, nun, shin, as we had seen in Pseudo-Jonathan. So this shin and samek variation, what's the explanation? Well, the explanation actually goes back to the Hebrew in that there's the Hebrew kaf, nun, samek, and it's merely being mirrored in Targum Psalms. So, as we can see in Targum Pseudo-Jonathan, we have the same kaf, nun, shin as in Onkelos, and we are ready now to continue reading in Genesis 1:9.